Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Heather and Tony Music Show.
What's up?
Yay. Today we are joined by a very, very, very special guest, Mr. Brandon Jackson. You might know him as as Mozart with dreads, or the star of Brownstock, or just your local musical genius. And we're very excited to have him here, and we are going to pick his brain about not only his musical genius, but have him play a little bit for you. But first, Heather, what is your band of the week?
My band of the week is Hobo Johnson.
I don't know who he is.
Do you know anything about Hobo Johnson?
It sounds vaguely familiar.
Slightly familiar to something.
I've heard the name.
You probably know him from NPR's Tiny Desk.
I love him.
So basically his name's Frank Lopez, and his stage name is Hobo Johnson. And their band is called Hobo Johnson and the Lovemakers. It's him and 4 other people. And it's like spoken word, like rap poetry.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting. There's like not really any singing on it, but the like instrumentals in the back are really interesting and pretty. And then
what are
he's
the instruments?
just basic, like synth, and then
Sure.
drums. Or, like they use a drum pad a lot. Guitar. He plays guitar and will play piano sometimes.
I think I saw his. Did he have an audition for RP?
Yes. Yeah. So
That's
NPR
probably where
was
I've
doing
seen
a
him.
contest,
Okay.
and the
Oh.
winner got to
Do a
have
Tiny
their
Desk.
own Tiny Desk show.
That's
pretty
probably
cool.
where I know him.
Yeah,
from.
and so he really wasn't famous before then. He actually was homeless for a while because his family kicked him out. He's 23 now, but a couple years ago, they kicked him out, and he was living in his 94 Toyota Corolla, and so his first album is based off of that and him living in this Toyota. And so he recorded it in his car and produced it, made the whole thing, wrote it, recorded it, produced it, everything. And so that was this ongoing joke about the 94 Toyota Corolla. And then he basically won the contest for NPR. And so once they posted the video, it gained 5 million views. And now his career's taking off. And so his most recent album is called The Rise of Hobo Johnson. And he is so funny. And the song he performed on NPR called Peach Scone is by far my favorite. And it's so cool. It's about he really loves this girl and she doesn't like him back. And, it's one of those songs.
Is it because he's a hobo? Or
No, it's because. But the way he talks about it is really interesting. And he's just super funny. Like, he starts talking about scones in the middle of the song. And, yeah, he's pretty funky. So,
what are scones? Are those like cookies?
Like the cookie
They're
things,
like,
yeah.
They're like
Breadier?
pastries.
Oh, okay.
Something like that. Yeah.
I know the English eat them, but I'm unaware otherwise of
It's like
anything else.
It's like a big breakfast cookie,
Yeah,
basically.
they're good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so
I want a peach scone. Look
Check
at that.
out Hobo Johnson. Yeah, and he also takes like a lot of these negative things and almost turns it into a bit of like a joke. Like, he makes all of these negative experiences in his life kind of ironic, like living out of his car and being homeless, and now he's on NPR Tiny Desk. Like, he definitely turns everything around for the better, and he definitely mentions that in his songs, and I think it's really cool and fun to listen to.
That's awesome.
Especially since there's no singing, he
You
really
can
has to
focus on the
capture
words.
the audience, yeah, and he does that 100%.
Yeah.
So yeah, who's your band of the week?
My band is not actually a band, but an artist. And I've been meaning to do him. He was actually going to be my guy for the first episode, and then I changed my mind just because of like time constraints and stuff. And he's probably next to Bob Dylan and Van Morrison, my favorite artist of all
Really?
time. Elliott Smith is the music industry's probably greatest kept secret. I mean, people know about him a lot more than they did, but not a lot of people know about him. But if you ask Ed Sheeran, Hozier, Passenger, anybody today in pop that plays an acoustic guitar and sings, every single one of them will tell you Elliott Smith. Elliott Smith, Elliott Smith, Elliott Smith, because he was one of the very first people to pick up an acoustic guitar and sing. And when people were like, is it folk? Is it country western? He was just like, no.
And
And
all
he was
those
the
artists
first
you just
person to do that.
mentioned are very folk based.
Well,
even
I'd
though
say
Ed
some of them
Sheeran
are
now
folk
is very
based, but I
different,
would say a
but-
lot of them, like like Hozier or like
Yeah.
Passing. They get up there and it's not exactly folk and it's not exactly
not
country
pop,
western.
yeah.
And it's not exactly pop. And he was the first person to really go in between. And I'll dive in a little bit into about what made him so great here in a second. But a little background. He was born in Omaha, Nebraska, but he spent most of his life in Portland, Oregon, which is a beautiful city. He played in a grunge band called Heatmeister for a bunch of years, but he went solo because they made him lead sing, and he kind of had like a Kurt Cobain voice, but like worse, like more grungy, and he's like, I don't like the way I sing. And so basically he went solo, and he has this beautiful, soothing, falsetto voice. And I mean, you hear it, and he sings a sad song. He sings a song called Between the Bars, and he sings about like alcoholism and stuff. And just his voice, how it's able to, you could hear every little bit of emotion in it. It's beautiful. And so he quit the band because he basically figured out that he had a really good falsetto, and the band was like, now. And so he released 6 studio albums and was nominated for an Oscar for the best original song for Miss Misery, which was in Good Will Hunting, because he helped write the soundtrack for it. And he got robbed. What was the song from Titanic? Let me go.
My Heart Will Go On.
Yes. Robbed. Even when Brandon plays it, I still can't forgive the fact that they robbed Elliott Smith. And so
that was an Elliott Smith tune.
no, it wasn't an
What?
Elliott
It wasn't.
Smith. No, they robbed him. He
What?
lost because to that song, which was ridiculous.
Wow.
Although it wasn't really tough. It was that, the Titanic song Hercules. Remember the cartoon Hercules?
Yeah.
The you know, like the really
Yeah.
good gospel one.
But
that
but
one.
also Alan Menken is like a god. So
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of like
No, it's
I mean,
too hard to win. I mean, but he played there. He performed there, and he did really good. But after years of depression and addiction, he struggled his whole life. His dad was really messed up, and he had addiction his whole life, and so he died in 2003 at the age of 34, which was horrifying. But he died of 2 stab wounds, and originally it was considered a suicide, and they closed the case, but now the autopsy is inconclusive of whether or not it was his girlfriend possibly who killed him. So it's kind of like the whole Kurt Cobain thing, except with a lot of evidence. A lot more evidence that other case doesn't have. And so he's crazy life, crazy artist, but he's beautiful. His words are, a lot of people compare him to kind of like almost like a Beatlesque tune, but it's really super duper melancholy. He's kind of like even his happy songs kind of have this beautiful little melancholy hinge. His words could match a Dylan any day. It's a little bit more blunt, some of them, but they're very true and they're very honest, and he has such a beautiful way of posing everything and saying everything, and it is absolutely wonderful. Now, I know everyone here is getting very excited to see Mr. Brandon Jackson, the man of the hour, the genius, the star that we've all come to see and know and love, play. But before we do, we have a little music game. We do have a music game, and we usually, I don't mean to pride myself, but I usually come up with some pretty good games. And
You are a pretty smart guy. You're a very smart guy.
Brandon, stop that.
Oh my god.
But we usually have the home versus the visitor, so I hope you're ready. Heather is notorious for losing all of these.
I don't win any of these
She
games.
does. So you're the odds are pretty well in your favor. Now we're all songwriters. You're a little bit more of a composer. Brandon's a little bit more talented than we are. So he's a composer. And so we've all named songs, right? We've all titled compositions. Well, I decided that I was going to look up the weirdest song names ever. And you guys are going to hear the title of the song and a few lyrics from it, and you're going to have to guess what genre it is from a selection of 4 choices that I give you.
So these are
I'm
all
not gonna
real.
know any of
These are
them.
all real
These
songs.
are all 100% real songs. Some of them were written by some pretty big stars, and I was pretty shocked because I did not know that they had these
All
songs.
right.
So the first one is, "You're the reason our kids are so ugly." And here are some lyrics. "You're the reason I changed to beer from soda pop. And you're the reason I never go to the beauty shop. You're the reason our kids are ugly. Oh, but looks ain't everything, and money ain't everything. I love you just the same." Kind of sweet. It's about a cheating husband, if it helps narrow it down. But it's a very sweet song, which is a little bit odd.
This has got to be a pop song.
Now, it is either A, reggae, B, folk, C, 40s big band, like Frank Sinatra, or D, country western.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna go with reggae.
You're Gonna go with reggae?
I'm gonna
Yeah.
go with folk.
You're gonna go with folk? Both of you are incorrect. It is country
Country
western.
western.
Yup. It was
That was
released
my
in
second choice.
1960 something.
By who?
By Loretta Lynn.
Really?
Yeah, who was a country western singer.
Yeah, I know Loretta Lynn.
And she was married to what's his face? What's the weird looking guy? She said his name like 5 times in the song when I was listening to it. I was like, oh, she's his wife. All right. Who's ready for the second one?
Who's-
Yeah, isn't that a
wait.
fun one?
Who is Loretta Lynn married to?
It was some weird.
I looked it up.
geez.
She was like friends
Champ?
with John.
It's something with a C, CH, I think. But I can't think of it. I'd heard the name before.
I know Christopherson?
No,
What's
no.
his name?
I don't remember.
Do you know who I'm talking about? That guy?
Christopherson? No, I don't know. I'm not even gonna try to figure it out.
Loretta
All right.
Lynn.
Well, you're both at 0-0.
I'm looking it up.
So both have some time to revive your scores here. This next one is called "I Like Bananas" because they have
Oliver
no
Lynn?
bones.
She was married to Oliver Lynn.
Who? Oliver Lynn?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I thought it was a different dude.
I thought it was a different dude too.
You ready for this?
Yes.
Heather, you weren't paying attention.
I'm ready.
The next song is "I Like Bananas" because they have no bones. And if you would like some literature on the subject, it is
Sure.
I don't like your peaches. They are full of stones. But I like bananas because they have no bones. Don't give me tomatoes. Can't stand ice cream cones. I like bananas because they have no bones.
What?
I think we could definitely rule out Dylan on this one, probably.
Yeah.
And your options are A, punk. B, 40s doo-wop. C, modern psychedelic. Or D, mumble rap.
Say the second option again.
I might go
40s
with
doo-wop.
mumble rap.
I really want to say it's doo-wop.
I'm gonna say mumble rap.
You're gonna say mumble rap. You're
Yeah.
gonna say doo-wop. Brandon is correct. Big shocker. The
That like screams doo-wop.
yeah that's a little bit there, and it was by I love this name. The Hoosier Hotshots
Oh.
recorded this
Okay.
lovely tune in 1941. Isn't that
Wow.
just lovely? They were an
Yeah.
interesting bunch.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, ready for 3? They're getting
Yes.
these are good. Now they get progressively harder from here.
Okay.
There's 3 more.
Okay. No, I'm ready.
3. Satan gave me a taco.
Oh.
Satan, if you know it, don't say it.
How does Brandon know this?
Satan
song?
gave me a taco, and it made me really sick. The chicken was all raw. The grease was mighty thick. The rice was all rancid, and the beans were so hard. I was getting kind of dizzy eating all the lard. Is it A, 90s acoustic grunge? B, English mariachi? C,
That doesn't even make sense.
new wave? Or does it? No, it doesn't make sense. I made that one up. That one's not the right
New
one.
wave.
I hope you don't answer. New wave, like 80s music.
Yeah.
And then
I sure hope
D,
it wasn't.
modern stadium country.
It's got to be A.
I'm saying A.
Acoustic grunge.
Beck released this fun
Beck?
song. Yeah, Beck
Beck?
in 1994 released
The
this
reason
song.
The reason I was like, oh, I know this, was I was thinking Tenacious D. I was
Oh,
thinking
really?
that's definitely a.
Oh.
They
That
all-
sounds like a
I
them
think-
thing.
They
Yeah.
think they wrote a song about the taco truck from hell. And I was like,
That's
I know
got to be
it.
Tenacious D.
That's
No,
gotta-
it's Beck. Isn't
but
it crazy?
It's
And
the
you know
same
what?
kind of thing because Jack
Yeah.
Black and the other, they're just
Yeah,
standing
they-
up, acting like complete idiots with a bunch of guitars.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, it makes sense.
I mean, who would do something like that?
Okay.
But yeah, no, isn't that cool? It's a really good song, actually. I checked it out. It was kind of
Good?
weird, yeah.
Okay. Well,
It was,
let's
think
do
about
it.
it. This is like Loser. This is like right before Loser came out. So it's
Oh,
kind of got like
okay.
a similar feel, like it's
Oh,
Beck
okay.
being like.
All right.
You know.
We'll have to listen to it.
All right, now this next one, Heather. If you know this one,
Yeah.
you cannot say anything.
Okay.
It is a song called "I've Been Flushed from That Bathroom of Your Heart."
Why would I know this?
Here's some literature because
Okay.
I'm not gonna tell you why you know this,
Okay.
but you know this.
Oh.
I've been washed down the sink of your conscience. In the theater of your love, I lost my part. And now you say you've got me out of your conscience. I've been flushed from the bathroom of your heart.
That's so gross.
Is it A, modern folk, B, alt rock, C, ska, or D, country western? The pressure is on.
Can you say the? Can you say everything one more time?
Yes. Is it A, modern folk, B, alt rock, C, ska, or D, country western?
I'm going with alt rock.
You going with alt rock?
I'm going with modern folk, I guess.
And both of you are again
Is it
incorrect.
ska?
It is country western.
Oh.
It was written by Johnny Cash for
What?
At Folsom Prison in 1968.
Wow.
For that album?
Yeah, I never
Yikes.
noticed it either. But I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, I wonder if Heather
He
knows
had a
this
rough
one.
time in
Was it on
prison.
there? Because I've never heard that.
Yeah, no, apparently it was on Folsom Prison. I was utterly shocked. I
All right,
I've
well, good night,
never heard that
everybody.
one
I have
either.
some. No,
Yeah.
just clapped. Bye, Brandon. All right.
I was gonna wear my Johnny Cash shirt today, but I wore my Pink Floyd one instead.
That may have been a safe bet.
That'd be embarrassing. Wow.
Very
I
embarrassing.
wouldn't expect Johnny
Oh,
Cash to
boy.
write a song about.
It's gonna get
flushing
really
out the
funny in
bathroom
here.
from
I
your
want
party.
everyone to know that there's a joke coming up. and
Okay.
I think it's funny. Hopefully there's a joke.
Oh, good lord.
So this is the last song. It is without a doubt the hardest. In the genres, I had to make I did the genre that it was, and I had to make up 3 other ones because like I honestly had no idea what to call the genre.
Wow.
4. This is the name of the song. Several species of small furry animals gathered together in a cave and grooving with a pict. I know you do, Bill. And do you know what's funny
How does
about
Bill
Heather
know
now?
it?
Do you get the joke? Yeah, Bill, our producer,
Oh.
our boss, Bill knows it.
Oh.
So
I know
I
it.
gave it away a little bit here.
I think I
but-
probably know.
No, I
this.
know it.
But I'm gonna still read you some lyrics and give you the options because I worked very hard to create that.
I'll finally get one
and
right.
a bit of mackerel, settler rack and down, ran it down by the home, and I flew. Well, it slapped me, and I flopped down in the shade, and I cried, cried, cried. Is it A punk band in the 80s screaming animal sounds with just bass and drums and a kazoo? B, a 1970s hippie band singing an educational song about animals accompanied by bird whistles? C, a 1960s psychedelic band with a series of remixed animal sounds, drums, and a screaming voice? Or is it D, a Swedish heavy metal EDM group with, instead of a chorus, just monkeys and lions sampled to sing the melody? And for fans who know this song, I'm sorry for describing it so poorly, but I had no words for it. Do you guys have your guesses? Would you like any of those repeated?
Probably all.
Yes, I'll repeat them one more time. A punk band in the 1980s screaming animal sounds with just bass and drums and a kazoo. B, a 1970s hippie band singing an educational song about animals accompanied by bird whistles. A 1960s psychedelic band with a series of remixed animal sounds, drums, and a screaming voice. Or D, a Swedish heavy metal EDM group with, instead of a chorus, just monkeys and lions sampled to sing the melody.
I really want to say it's the Swedish heavy metal EDM band.
So he's going to go with the heavy metal
I'm
band.
gonna go with C.
I'm going to go with C. Thank God Heather went with C because it is by Pink Floyd. It was released
If I would have
on one of
got,
their albums.
if I didn't know that,
Oh,
that
in
would
1968.
be so.
I know. I was thinking
That'd
you're
be
like
so
you're like I didn't wear
embarrassing.
my Johnny Cash shirt. Good thing I wore this Pink Floyd shirt. I'm like, oh boy, Heather, you don't even see
I would
it
have
coming.
to say I do listen to Pink Floyd more than Johnny Cash.
Yeah, I listen to more Johnny Cash than I do Pink Floyd, but
Yeah.
still 2 very good bands.
I listen to more like folk and country over like Pink Floyd, but
You listen to more.
it's
Pink
like
Floyd
John
specifically than you
Prine.
do Floyd.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
I don't know. I always listen to like John Prine or like Hank Williams.
I love Hank Williams. I hate his
Yeah.
son though. Monday
Hank
Night Football
Williams
will
Jr.?
always be terrible. That's his only
Yeah.
contribution. He wrote his dad is like probably one of
Yeah.
the greatest country singers of all time, and he wrote the Monday Night Football theme song. So
yeah.
pretty equal in my eyes. I guess we know what happens when you crack under your parents' pressure, folks.
Yeah.
Now, Brandon, we're
Yes,
going to
sir.
talk about, this is the part of the show where we get to talk about you, which I'm very excited about. Now, for those of you who don't know, Brandon Jackson is a musical genius, to put it very lightly. He composes, he creates film scores. He's writing a musical with this other really brilliant guy. We don't know his name, who he is. He
You guys
writes
are
songs,
so
music.
weird.
He plays Brandon, can you quickly list all of the musicians or all of the instruments that you're able to play?
You really wanted me to do that?
Yes, I do. I would like you to.
All right, let me just put.
I'm gonna
We're
count.
gonna be here for a really long time.
We're gonna be here for a second. He's gonna put down his.
We'll be here for a second. I'm just letting you know.
Right.
Violin, viola, mandolin, a little bit of guitar, bass, string bass, and electric bass. I'm counting that as one. 4-string tenor banjo, dulcimer, Appalachian dulcimer, not a huge
I don't know the difference.
cymbal
That's
on.
all good.
Play drum set. I play African percussion, Latin percussion, bowron, which is an Irish instrument, an Irish drum. Yeah, I brought that to one of our shows.
I know.
So we're at 11.
I know that one.
Huh?
We're at 11.
We're at 11.
11.
Piano,
He's counting.
piano, organ, synthesizers, didgeridoo. Shoot, and there are quite a few others that are just escaping my mind.
Well, we're at 15.
In case you're
so
wondering
I think that
if Brandon
shows.
can like adequately play like all these instruments, he can not only play all these instruments, but he
Yes.
can play them all absolutely incredibly. That's why he's going to Berkeley in Boston, right?
Yep, Berkeley
Which
College
is,
of Music.
if you don't know, is probably one of the best music schools, if not the best music school in the country. Obviously, you're incredibly talented. You're writing film
Thank you.
scores.
I actually just worked with Carl Voles.
Carl, yeah,
who
Carl
works
over
in the
here,
office here.
for the gun rally thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I heard a little bit of it.
And it was
Absolutely
incredible.
So
Oh
good.
my God.
And not only is he doing all these incredible, not only is he able to play all these instruments and compose all these songs, but we have a school festival here
Let's
called.
try this.
Yeah, I think it's getting a little.
It's like
loose
kind of
here.
broken.
It's a little broken.
A little
That's
broken.
okay.
But we just had a school festival, music festival, and Brandon, you played in 4 acts, correct?
Yes.
And he absolutely stole the show. The only thing anybody's able to talk about from Brownstock is the Brandon Jackson. He came out, you played violin, bass.
Really, it was just those two.
Yeah, it was
that whole
just those
show.
two. I was trying to think. I was like, I felt like more. But
yeah,
you played in.
I
4
also
different
brought my
groups.
drumsticks just in case, because I remember last year, 1 or 2 of the acts didn't show up the day of, so O'Reilly just went backstage and was like, you, and you, come on, let's just
Oh
play
my
music.
God.
That's all. I wish that happened.
It was like August Omenchuk, Michael McInerney,
Oh, wow.
Adam Kneebone, and Luke Palisard. And
Oh, for last year?
yeah,
They
and
just
it was
went
just
out there?
yeah, he was just like, let's just play something, and they're like, okay, and they just played funk music for like 5 minutes.
That's awesome.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's so cool.
but yeah,
And Luke might have been the only one who played in more bands than you did this year.
Luke did play.
Luke played in like every band.
Luke was. There were only I think 3 bassists.
Yeah,
and I was one of them.
Tate,
Wow.
Yeah, it
Luke,
was me, Tate, and Luke, and then Anna played as well, but Anna only played in the 1 act.
Oh, that's
And I
right.
played bass for 2.
2.
Tate played for 1 or 2.
1.
And then Luke played bass
For,
and
like,
guitar
everything.
for everything else.
Jeez.
It was insane.
Yeah.
He's a talented kid.
Yeah, he's an insane bass player.
But now, one of the things that makes you so excellent to see live is not only are you able to play these instruments, and we'll get to see in a second here, folks, incredibly well, but you're able to do it with such flair. There's, usually when you see people playing the violin, it's very like, mellow. Brandon plays it like a lead guitar. His hair, he let his dreads go out
Yeah.
halfway through, flipping his hair. He was getting the crowd pumped. He was jamming. By far the best stage presence of the show. You stole the show. You
Thank
were
you.
excellent. Now you're gonna play for us. What song are you gonna play?
Well, I've been recently working on an album. Hold on.
Ooh.
So
Just an instrumental album?
yeah, just an instrumental album, and kind of something that I've been into the last really maybe since 6th grade is Celtic music. Really, in the orchestra program I was in, once you kind of learn what to do on the violin, once you kind of like learn the notes in first position, kind of knew how to bow it and everything, and after you can probably play, Mary Had a Little Lamb, then you're probably ready to, try and do something else. The first very big genre that you see a lot of violinists or string or bowed string players play is fiddle tunes, folk music, and that entails bluegrass and entails country, and a big part of that is American and Celtic folk tunes, and I just fell in love with it, and it was definitely something outside of the whole classical realm, because that was kind of where I was rooted in, was the classical realm of violin, which I totally have extreme respect for, and there are so many great classical violinists. But for me to, always have to feel like I have to go on stage, do the little bell, turn, tune like I'm someone that has no idea what they're doing. Yeah, yeah, when it's not in tune. And then always look at that little corner on the wall and play. It just didn't appeal to me.
So you wanted something more exciting.
Yeah, I wanted a lot of things more exciting, and part of that was, me just getting into other classical music, like playing in quartets, playing in other orchestras, playing Broadway musicals around the area. But the next big step was just to say, what music do you like to play? What music do you like to listen to? I also play bass and drums and rock music. I've grown up in the Chicago suburbs, so everyone and their mom listened to classic rock, all the old folk tunes, James Taylor, and I grew up not only with that, but I also grew up with a lot of R&B, a lot of hip hop. Well, not too much hip hop. But sure. Yeah, a lot of R&B, a lot of gospel music, and my mom, who's a professional actress, has tons of Broadway down up her sleeve.
Wow.
So I remember, instead of watching like Drake and Josh, I would be watching Singing in the Rain, or
that's cool.
Really, like any other movie musical. And that all those kind of things are like, well, yeah, I do like to play rock. I do listen to jazz, but I've never really thought about putting it on the violin. Then last summer I went to 5-week over at Berklee College of Music.
Sure.
And that was kind of the biggest test. One thing I like to do is immersion therapy. Not a lot of people like it because you're thrown into something that you don't know what you're doing and you have to do it. And I'm like, that's the best thing for you.
Yeah, that's how
because that's how you learn quickly. That is, of course, you shouldn't do that all the time. You should have moderation where you say, how much of this can I pick up in a day? How much of this can I pick up in a month? That's really the difference with it. But for that whole, really the first week, I was thrown into, hey, I play violin, and now you have to play a jazz solo. Now you have to play violin and play like you're a funk guitarist with a wah pedal. Except you don't have a wah pedal. You just have this. And it was really, really challenging. And even working with the Art Explosion, kind of opened my eyes to that a little bit, because Josh had, at the time, just been accepted to Berklee College of Music. Joshua Leak.
Now, before you go back to the album a little bit, Art Explosion. Now, this is Josh Leak. He's at Berklee right now. He started it. You're currently the head of it?
I'm currently one of his music directors. So basically what I do is I work with the high school band that is mainly at LT.
Right.
But basically my job, per se, is to kind of make sure that the music aspect, whenever and wherever he's not around, is spot on and it's good. Because the main part of the show is the music. We do have dancers, we do have visual artists, but the main thing is people want to go and they want to hear a good show.
Right.
And he really did trust me with saying, hey, I know that you know what you're doing with all these different styles of music. Can you help me out with all of these things?
And now, Art Explosion is, can you explain, you talked a little bit about, the visual work. Can you explain to us a little bit what it is? Because I know it's more than just, like you said, it's more than just the music.
So this year, it'll be a 2-day festival, and basically what it is, it's a kind of like a Chicago-based festival where we receive funds and we give those funds to charity. Basically, we're a non-for-profit organization where we try and support Chicago youth. Chicago youth, instead of them being out on the street selling drugs, they're in even for 1 or 2 days, in a good space with good music,
sure.
And it just a place to have fun.
Awesome.
And he's been doing a great job ever since we started. We've had some hiccups here and there in management, but he's incredible. He's one of the hardest working people I'll ever know. He's got this whole thing like down pat, and his standard for things is used to be very unmatched, because he only knew few people that could get up to his standards, and I was thankfully one of them. But after he kind of asked me to help him do the things that he couldn't, just because he was going to be in Boston and I was still going to be here. His expectations have always been exceeded. For example, at Brownstock. By the way, this guy played in the band at Brownstock.
I did.
And he was
very honored.
Yeah.
Talk about immersion learning. I was a rhythm guitarist there with kids all going to like Berkeley and like music schools. So like, yeah, just keep up. I was like, oh, okay.
Right. but he was able to keep up very, very well. And a couple of kids asked me, well, why'd you have Tony play guitar? And I was like, because he's a really good rhythm guitarist. And they're like, but don't you need someone that can, like do crazy licks? And I'm like, no. I said I needed a rhythm guitarist. And Tony's perfect for that. And, everything that you did was chunky, it was funky, and it was just exactly what was needed.
Chunky and funky.
That's how I like to play, folks.
Yeah.
Chunky and funky.
Yeah.
Chunky
Now,
and
Brent
funky.
is I'm a narcissist. Don't get me wrong. And as much as I love hearing me compliment, I do want to hear a little bit about this album before we have you play.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I didn't
you were
even know you were
inspired
doing
to do this Celtic album. I'm incredibly excited to hear because I know you'll do great. I've heard you play Celtic stuff before, and it's excellent. But have you finished writing it?
It's almost done.
Almost done writing it. Now, are you gonna record it right away, or are you gonna wait, like hold on to it?
I'm still trying to see what's going on because I could definitely record it at Boston. There are definitely demos I've done here.
Yeah.
So I'll just have to see, but we'll keep you updated, and I'll keep everyone
Please
at home updated
and
as well if you guys
so
are
that they
interested.
can stay updated.
Yes.
You have social media. I know
Yes.
that you have people follow. Why don't you go ahead and plug yourself a little bit?
If you guys want to follow me and catch up with everything that I do, you can check me out on Facebook and Instagram, both at BRANMUZSICK, Brand Music. So, yeah, and in both of those links, I have SoundCloud and my Bandcamp accounts, both to the same thing.
Fantastic.
Again, BRANMUZSICK.
Now, you're playing this song for us. We've talked about some crazy song names. Do you have a name for this one yet?
This one is Quinn's Jig.
Quentin's Jig. I'm so excited. Brandon Jackson, please take it away.
What the heck?
Brandon, that was remarkable.
It feels like it feels like I paid to go to a concert to see that.
People, you know Jaco Pastorius, right?
Absolutely.
Jaco Pastorius is considered like the greatest bassist of all time.
Absolutely.
People talk about him. They say that he's like the Jimi Hendrix of bass. Well, if there's a Jimi Hendrix of violin, anybody, this is you're looking at him right now. That was remarkable.
That's
I'm so excited
crazy.
for that album. What other instruments are you planning to put in like that?
Bass, synths, drums, mandolin, bowron. Then there's also this instrument which is called an octave violin. It basically allows me to play lower notes. So
wow.
So if I were to play what a violin would sound like, it would be up here. A viola, for those of you who know what that is a little bit lower. This is a whole octave lower. So I can play a lot of things that a cellist might play. And it basically just allows me to like play some of the things in octaves, like it. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll tune this down so that this low G is the same as your low E.
Okay.
This also has a pickup on it, so I can plug into process like effects pedals and whatnot. I'll put a little bit of overdrive on it, and I can get it like sounding like a pretty nasty guitar tone actually.
Oh, that's cool. Is that what you're using, that brown stock?
I used this one. So
okay.
I saw you use this one at the Christmas thing.
Yes. So this pickup, I've moved it around on both instruments, but I have used this violin. This is Jules, by the way. I named my instruments after a couple years of using them.
Rosa. Got her name written on it, right?
Yeah. But this one is Jules, and I've had her for about 2, almost 3 years now. And it's kind of like a medium bright. It's dark, but it's not too dark. This one is a very dark sounding violin. It's kind of like its own reverberation chamber. If you're not careful and you're playing too many low notes, you can basically kind of drown your own self out. I played so many things on this thing, so many gigs with this instrument that it just wasn't working. And this instrument also isn't so bright that it's very piercing, but it sits really nicely. Oh, it's cold in here.
Now, as we can see, we just talked about Brandon. Usually at this time of the show, we jam and we have you play a percussion instrument, which you pick out of a hat randomly, which I have no doubt in my mind. For those of you who don't know, he's also a remarkable drummer.
Brandon can do anything.
He pretty much can do anything. But because you're so good at violin, we specifically wanted you to play with us. Again, we jam, so if this is Brandon's first time hearing it, and so it's in G. It's just G to B minor to C back to G. And that's pretty much it. That's the entire song. All right.
The lyrics.
You have the lyrics.
I don't
All
have
right.
them memorized.
This is Bob Dylan's North County Fair.
Oh.
If you're traveling to the North County Fair, the winds hit heavy on the borderline. Please remember me to one who lives there, for she once was a true love of mine.
If you go where the snowflake storm, when the river freezes in summer's ends, please see she has a coat so warm.
last to length long. But that's the way I remember this song.
I'm wondering if she remembers at all. Many times I've hoped and prayed in the darkness of my night, in brightness of my day.
So if you're traveling to the North County Fair, the winds hit heavy on the borderline. Remember me to the one who lives there, before she once was a true love of mine. Before she once was a true love of mine. Before she once was a true love of mine.
All right.
Alrighty then.
That was
Well-
fun. What the heck?
Wow.
That was really
Well,
fun.
Wow. That's
Brandon-
all I have to say about Brandon Jackson, folks.
Also, Brandon's
Wow.
never practiced with us before.
Yep, nope, that was the first time we played that song. That was absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for coming.
Well, thank you guys for having
today.
me. It was a lot of fun.
Brandon Jackson, everybody, one of the probably the best musician ever.
I swear these
honestly.
episodes just
That's
keep getting
excellent.
better and better.
Better
I
and
guess
better.
every
Better and
every
better.
time
Look
we
at
just
that.
step it
Look
up
at
a
that.
little
Look at
bit.
this guy.
It's crazy.
All right, well, thank you for joining.
How are we gonna step it up from Brandon?
Dude, we're gonna have to get like like we're gonna have to like go and get like I don't know. I'm trying to think of.
Celebrity.
We're gonna have to go and get.
We need a celebrity.
I'm trying to think of I'm trying to think of a celebrity that we're gonna have to dig Bob Marley up, pull him out, or just get Bill,
Just the last episode ever, because that's how powerful it is.
It's just
First
the
of
last
all,
episode.
No,
No, just kidding.
I'm still here another year, Bill.
Yeah, someone's replacing me next year,
Well, that's Bill for you, folks. Well,
but I'll come back.
we're gonna have Heather back probably as a guest
Next
next year,
year.
just because.
I'll fly home
There's
from
someone like-
Georgia. Yeah.
But thank you very much, Brandon, for coming. Thank you for joining and watching and supporting music in your local area. And this has been the Heather and Tony Music Show with our very special guest, Mr. Brandon Jackson, and we hope you join us next time. All right, let's have some casual banter.